Hey, what is going on, guys? Kiwi Fisher here. Now, I haven't recorded a video in a long time, but I have decided that I wanted to make some more videos, so here I am. Anyway, I have been at university for the last year and a half studying computer sciences, and a lot of the work we've been doing recently is in Java, and I really love the language of Java. And a lot of what has helped me understand Java and become quite good at it, I think, is the fact that I started working with Bucket. Well, it's now Spigot because Bucket had a few issues. But anyway, guys, I wanted to share what I found and how I learned. And I thought, Minecraft, hey, it's an awesome game. Spigot, it's an awesome API to work with. And Java is a great language to know in the future. So I really wanted to teach you guys how to learn Java with the aid of Spigot. Now, a lot of the tutorials on YouTube which you see, they often will teach you how to make Minecraft plugins, but they do not teach you the proper fundamentals of Java, which is a big issue. Quite often I'll be sitting on the Spigot forums and I will see people saying, hey, how do I do this? Or can anyone look through my code and tell me what's wrong? And there will be absolutely atrocious practices when it comes to programming. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make Minecraft plugins, but we're not jumping straight into it. I am first going to teach you the basics of Java, because before you do this, you do need to know the language. Not saying you can't learn it at the same time, but at least for the first bit, focus on Java. Anyway, guys, so I am going to be working in a IDE called IntelliJ. Now, you can technically use whatever Java IDE you want. A lot of the common ones used are Eclipse, there's NetBeans, but I really like IntelliJ by JetBrains. Fantastic IDE, really easy to work with, and it also has a few features which I'll show you as we're going through that make learning to program quite simple and has really reinforced my knowledge of Java. Anyway, so go ahead and download that. It is free for the community edition. If you happen to be a student at a university or something like that, I think you can just search IntelliJ student. You can apply for a student license, and then they give you all of their different IDEs for iOS coding with Swift and Objective-C, or C IDEs, Ruby, SQL, basically every IDE that you could ever want. They also give you IntelliJ Ultimate, which is awesome. I use that on my laptop for developing, but on my desktop, which I'm on at the moment, I only have the old community edition, which I haven't updated, so we're going to be doing that. Anyway, guys, go ahead and download that, and I'll show you. It's pretty self-explanatory to set up, so I'm not going to go through the installation. If you can't install an IDE, maybe you should read some books on how to use computers before you start trying to program. Anyway, Spigot is what we are going to be working with, but right now you do not need it, because I'm not going to be jumping straight into Spigot this episode. I'm going to go over the fundamentals of Java and get you guys up to speed so that we don't trip over ourselves a few episodes in. Anyway, guys, so what I have done is I have gone File, New, Project, and I've just named it YouTube, and that's easy enough. So now what we're going to do is, here, this is our source folder. Now in Java, everything is contained within a source folder and within packages, so I'm going to create a new package. Now when it comes to package naming, quite often it will be done with a website backwards, so with Google stuff you'll often see com.google.android if it was an Android package. It's the suffix of the website, the body of the website, and then whatever this is. Now the whole point of package naming is in the Java virtual machine, objects or bits of code have locations in memory, and these packages identify what they are. And if you were to just call it plugin, the chances are that someone else out there has also created a plugin and they've just named it plugin, and they are going to conflict. So you want something unique to you. So quite often I will use com.kiwifisher.bucket. And that's what I like to do, just because it's pretty unique. Kiwi Fisher is my in-game name, and the com is just there. I don't actually own kiwifisher.com. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and create that package, and we are going to create a new class, and I'm going to call this class main. Now, there's a few things in Java which I want to go over first. Java is or it runs within a virtual machine, runs within the Java virtual machine. So what that means is it has its own, I guess the easiest way to describe it is its own miniature operating system within your operating system. So what that means is the guys over at Oracle that make Java, they just create a Java virtual machine that has an identical appearance for everyone, but can run on Windows, Linux, iOS, absolutely everything, meaning that the code that you write in Java is very portable. So long as you have the same version of Java, it's going to be the same no matter what operating system you're on, which is absolutely awesome for plugins, because we can run it on a Windows server, we can run it on a Linux server, we can run it on someone's Apple laptop if they really wanted to, and there aren't going to be any issues so long as their version of Java is up to date. So I was just getting a drink. Anyway, so what Java is as a language, it's what we call a object-oriented language, or object-oriented programming is what we do. It's called OOP, you'll often see it referred to. And the whole point of object-oriented programming is that we can create objects. Now, this is the part that a lot of people stumble on, and you will often see mistakes when it comes to programming Minecraft plugins. People will often just build all their code and do an absolute million lines of code all the way down the screen, and it just gets messy. And the whole point of object-oriented programming is I can create lots of different classes and they can all work together. Now, if you were to think about it as a car, so let's say we have a car here and it is a Toyota Corolla. We don't know its engine size, we don't know what color it is, we don't know how far it's gone, but we know that it has those attributes. We know that it has a color, and we know that it has an engine, and we know that it's traveled some distance. We don't know how far, but we don't know. So we know that it has those, but we don't know the exact numbers. Now, say I own a red Toyota Corolla and you own a blue Toyota Corolla. What Java would do with that is it would have a Toyota Corolla object, and it would have what they call a local variable or an instance variable. They would have a color variable, and they could create or instantiate an object for me of that car and assign it red, and then they could create one for you and they could assign it blue or any other color. So basically we are building blueprints. We aren't hard coding everything, we're building blueprints that can then be set. So you'll get it as it goes along. It's quite a difficult thing to explain without the aid of PowerPoints or something like that, or actually showing you guys code. So I might actually just jump into how Java runs. So there's a few main things in Java called primitives, and they are data types. So we have chars, C-H-A-R, and as you can see that's come up in blue. And what that is it's a single character. So if I wanted to go cut char letter is equal to C, that would be a valid assignment, because we are saying the data type is a char, we're saying it is going to be referred to as letter, and we're assigning it to C. And notice how I've only used single quotations? That is used to assign it a char. Now, a char can be literally any character. So we can see here that letter is the char C, and these here are all our chars, which we can work with. It can literally be anything. So that is a primitive type. Now, you've probably heard of something referred to as a string before, and in Java, string starts with a capital. I'll get to that later on. If you notice that char started with a lowercase, all primitive types start with a lowercase, except for string. String isn't really a primitive, but it's referred to as one because it's so fundamental. So all a string is it is a collection of chars. So I'm going to call this string, simply enough. And we use double quotes for that. Hello world. And in Java, everything ends with an end-of-line character, which in Java's case and quite a few other languages is actually a semicolon. Looks quite annoying to do, but it becomes quite habitual. Oh, no, not hello world, hello world. And as you can see, that is a string. And then we have integers. And we can go int number is equal to 7. Now the restriction with integers is they can be positive, they can be negative, They can be 0, but they may not have a decimal point. I cannot go 7.5. That is not an integer. That would be a double or a float, which actually I'll get to that soon. Anyway, but what we can do with integers is they're really, really simple to use, simple addition. They don't use up a lot of memory, very fast multiplication, addition, subtraction. But they do have limitations to do with memory storage. And for an integer, the highest you can go is positive 2.1 billion, and the lowest you can go is negative 2.1 billion. If I go to the upper limit, 2.1 blah blah blah, whatever it is, and I add 1, it's going to jump all the way to negative 2.1 billion. They sort of go around in a loop. So if you're using huge numbers, you've got to find a more intelligent way to figure it out than using just an int. Then we come to floats. Now floats, or floating numbers, we'll call this number 2, is equal to 5.4. We can have a decimal point, but you see how this is erroring here? That is because we are saying it's just a decimal, and Java tries to assign that to a double, which again I'm coming to, but we put an F on the end and it makes it a float. And with a double we could go number 3 is equal to 7.8. Now the, oh no, go away Dropbox, I don't, oh my mouse is gone. Did I hit insert? Oh dear, where's the button? Hold on guys, I've hit a button and I can't find it. Oh dear. How hard is it to find the freaking insert button? What on earth? Oh, there it is. It's in a different location to my laptop. Anyway, we could go 7.8. Now, doubles are basically exactly the same as a float, except they use twice as many bits. They can store a higher number, they can store basically to a higher degree of accuracy, but they also take up more memory. So there isn't a whole heap of difference between them. They're generally used for just vectors or currency or something like that. They're not the best for certain things, but I'm just keeping it really simple for now. And then I'm sure you've all heard of booleans. And we're going to say that is equal to true. Now, a boolean is a true or false statement. It can only be true or false. And they are quite useful when it comes to what we call conditionals. So an if statement, if this is true, then do this. If this is false, then do this. So I will get into those now. Now with Java, we have something called a main function, which when I was first learning was quite complex to get my head around, because it is public static void main string with weird brackets, args, like that. It is quite a mouthful, quite an eyesore, and when I first started learning Java, I looked at it, didn't know what it meant, and I thought screw this and gave up. So I'm going to try my best to actually explain this nicely to you guys, so that it doesn't come across as too intimidating. Anyway, so public is what Java calls an access modifier. So if something is public, it means it can be accessed external from the class, which in this case the class is called main. So it means it can be accessed externally. Static basically means it has a fixed memory location. There is only one of them and it sits in this location. Void is a return type. When you create a method in Java, you always have to specify a return type. It could be getting a number for you, so it's going to return an integer or a float, or it could be getting a string for you, so it's going to return a string. But the main method, it doesn't return anything, so we say that it returns void. And then this is the name of it, it's called main, and then we give it a parameter. And string here is the parameter, and those brackets at the end means it's an array of strings. And we are calling that parameter args. So if I really wanted to, which I've never actually had to do down here, I could access args, args dot, and then I could do whatever I wanted from there. But there's a point in learning how to write it, but it's pretty generic. You don't ever do anything with args. It's just for entry. It's just an entry point for the Java virtual machine. Anyway, so what I am going to do here is I'm going to teach you a basic if statement. So I'm going to create a boolean called bool, and we're going to set it to true. And then underneath I'm going to say if bool is equal to true, we're gonna print out. So we're gonna do system.out.print line, and we're going to print it's true. Okay, and we're gonna close the brackets. So if it's true, then we're going to print out it's true. Else, we're going to print out it's false. And then we can right click and go run, and it'll quickly compile it, quickly run it. It might take a little bit longer the first time, and underneath here it should pop up, it's true. So it's saying this boolean is true. Now if I change this to false and run it again, it's going to say it's false. Now I'm not sure if you guys can see here, but it says if bool is equal to true, then do this. And see how it's highlighted in yellow? That's because we don't need to compare it to anything. We don't need to say if boolean is equal to true, because this statement here is going to either return true or false. If bool is true, and it says it thinks to itself, is bool true, and is this true? And if it is, then the whole thing's true. If this is false and this is true, then it's going to say the whole thing is false. So what we can do is we can actually take this out and just say if bool. So if this is false, then it's going to go to this. But if this is true, then it's going to go to this. And this is having a hissy fit because it's always true, because we're building a simple program. Now I feel like I am running through this very quickly, but don't stress about it. I'm literally just giving you a taster for it all. This first episode is going to be a bit longer because I would like to jump into Spigot development soon and sort of teach you as I go through. But I'm going to just show you guys a for loop and a while loop quickly, and then call the episode there. So what a loop is it's something that repeats a bracket of code. Oh, I clean forgot to mention actually that these things here are braces, and it is used to describe where a block of code is. So if, and then anything within these two here, that is part of the statement. Doesn't matter how you lay them out. Some people like to lay it out like this. Frankly, I hate it. I cannot stand it. I think it's called the Kellerman bracing style, and I use OTBS, one true bracing style. It's a C thing, the Kellerman, or whatever it's called. I can't really remember. Not important. Anyway, so when it comes to a for loop, there's three parts of it that you should know. So I'm going to say for, and the first part of it is called the integer assignment. So I'm going to say for int I is equal to 0. So this here, I am assigning a variable I. I'm saying it's an integer, and we are going to say that I is 0. And then the next one is called a gateholder, or a gatekeeper, sorry. And I'm going to say for I is less than 10. So what that means is we are going to go through until I is less than 10. So for when it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but not 10, because 10 is not less than 10, it is 10. And then the next one is called the step, or the incrementer. And we're going to say I plus plus, and what plus plus means is it increments it by 1. Or if you were to use minus minus, it would decrease it by 1. But we're going to use plus plus. And then we're going to put a brace at the end of it so that we can create our code block, and click enter. And that is our code block. And I am going to just print out the number. By the way, the shortcut, which you might have seen me use earlier for printing out in IntelliJ, is SOUT, S-O-U-T. There's a whole heap of shortcuts, you can learn them if you want. And I am just going to print out I. Nice and simple, that is it. And what this is going to print out is it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's going to put each number on its own line. There we go, you can see it's printed out nicely there. And you could You could say I is equal to I plus 3 if you wanted to step up in 3 at a time, and then we're going to go 0, 3, 6, 9, and so on. Or if we wanted to go to 100, then we change that to 100, and there we go, multiples of 3 right there. So that is the fundamentals of a for loop. Now with a while loop, it basically takes a conditional, so a boolean, true or false. So I'm going to say while true, which is a really stupid thing to say because that's going to run infinitely. A while loop will continue to run infinitely while whatever's in this bracket is true. So you could have a boolean in your instance variables whether the thing is active or not, and if it's active then it's going to run, otherwise not. So I'm going to say while true, print out hello, and this is literally just going to spam hello infinitely, and oh yeah, sure, you can, yeah, whatever. See, too much output to process. It is literally just spamming hello infinitely. It will never stop until the machine crashes or something happens to the computer physically. So I know we've covered a lot in this first little video. We've gone over the concept of object-oriented programming, which I will go more into in the next video. We've gone over that Java runs in its own virtual machine, meaning it can run across different operating systems as long as the Java version stays the same, which means the code is very portable. I went over the primitives. We've got chars, strings, integers, floats, doubles, booleans. They are very common. You will be using them a lot. And I also went over very basic if-else statements, very basic for loop, and a very basic while loop. Anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed watching. I know that there is a lot to take in when it comes to programming, and I am trying to cover this quite quickly, so if you have any questions please just shout, and I would be more than happy to cover them. Also, I am not a great teacher. I have never taught before. I have never done educational videos. This is a complete first for me. So if you liked it, please let me know. If you didn't like it, please don't just leave me a thumbs down. Let me know. I don't care about bad reviews, but be constructive and let me know how I can be more useful to you guys. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you with the next episode.